Those aristocrats rewrote those 30 proposed amendments, condensed them down into 12, and they changed the wording dramatically. When you read the 30 proposed amendments written by the commoners, you can clearly see that they intended that all of the rights that they mentioned in those 30 proposed amendments would pertain to everyone. There would be no designation, no political class designation as to who any of these protections would be accorded to. But when these aristocrats rewrote those 30 proposed amendments, they put the word people in 5 very critical places. The First Amendment, the second part of the First Amendment, redress of grievance. The Second Amendment, protection of weapons. Fourth Amendment, protection of property. Ninth and Tenth Amendment, for all authority not granted to the federal government by the states. 5 places where the word people is in the first 10 amendments. You don't find the word citizen anywhere in those 10 amendments. Pay attention. The Constitution has 2 very, very serious flaws in it if it was intended for a country where there was going to be political freedom. The first very, very serious flaw, I'm talking about flaws that are still in the Constitution. The first very serious flaw that is still in the Constitution is the authority for the federal government to borrow money on the backs of the taxpayer. The second one is the authority to tax. Both of those must be eliminated. You cannot possibly have freedom when either one of those exist. You cannot have freedom where there are taxpayers. You cannot have freedom where there are taxes. You cannot have freedom where the government has the authority to borrow money on the backs of the people, of the population. I misused the word people there, excuse me. On the backs of the general population, the citizens. There's no reason to have citizens of the United States except to have a subservient class, which is quite common in Republican form of government. And we have people in this country, in the patriot community, clamoring to restore the republic. We've already got a republic. We need to get rid of the Republican form of government. We don't want a Republican form of government. What we want is a form of government that has freedom. We want freedom, not republicanism. When is this stupidity going to end? Words are critically important. People don't seem to be able to comprehend the meaning of words, nor the structures of sentences, nor that the way that the preamble is written constitutes a term of art, which is a definition. The people of the United States are defined in the preamble as the aristocrat class. You don't see the word aristocrat in there. No, you don't. You got to pay attention to what they meant. Pay attention to who the men were who wrote the Constitution. They were former, aristocrats. Once an aristocrat, always aristocrat. Aristocrats are not inclined in any way to give up their high social and political status and become equal to scrub women and stablemen. Not likely. So how would the people identify themselves to the government, thus protecting their rights on personal freedoms? By not claiming to be citizens of the United States, by not claiming to have a name, not claiming to have a birth certificate. Understand that a name has come to mean that indication or designation that is written on a birth certificate. This gradualism has happened in this country, gradually subverting the general population to a condition of serfdom. That's what we have in this country. We have serfdom. Citizens of the United States are serfs, nothing but common ordinary slaves. But they're not called slaves, they're called citizens. Don't claim it. If you don't want to be a slave, stop claiming to be a citizen of the United States. And you cannot officially quit. Just quit. Don't make it official. Don't give notice, just walk out. When you give notice, you shoot yourself in the foot. You're declaring that you are a person who is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, and then you're going to quit. You can't quit. There's no provisions for quitting. Once you sign in, you're in. However, they can't prove you signed in. So stop claiming you signed in. The government in this country cannot identify who you are. The government of this country cannot figure out who anybody is. There isn't any way that that the people in the government, that the bureaucrats who work for the government, or the officers who work for the government, there isn't any way that they can determine which birth certificate belongs to any particular individual. There's no way they can figure it out. How could they figure it out? Everybody looks the same. If you're a man or a woman, that's the only real difference. Otherwise, everybody has 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, etc. They can't tell one from the other.